not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, The Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new show this week. Last week was a rerun indeed. I was actually in New York City for a mastermind and to see Barbara Corcoran. Back in town this past week and in town now back in the studio. So awesome, huge show for you. Brand new show, all kind of great stuff. So make sure you stay tuned into this. We have the brand new market numbers in. They're huge. 18% increase in sales last month and the same month last year. And so that's massive, right? So you're looking back at April 2024 versus April 2023, 18% increase in sales, which we knew was coming because we had rates that dropped down to the sixes. The market lit on fire in terms of new deals that went under contract really January, February, March, and those deals finally really started closing late March and April. And so a huge jump there, which is great. We'll talk about that and why that is overall kind of in today's show. Some big, not so good news with interest rates the past couple of weeks. They've jumped back up significantly into the sevens, mid sevens. They're back down the last 2 days, but we'll talk about what's going on with that, what that means. But the good news is the market is still absolutely on fire. Really 200 plus million on the contract last 7 days. We'll talk about what's going on with that. We're truly in that summer, spring kind of transition market, which was everything gets lit on fire, right? Everyone's in town looking. People have been stalking properties for months and months. Are coming in town buying stuff. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about some national data that came out, a big national report that just talks about why right now is a great time to sell your home, both seasonally, both data-wise, and it's not just true here, it's true across the country. I think it just has to do with the way people feel, the way they operate. You can kind of all sense that right now. Everyone's getting back outside. The good weather is making people feel much better, and you're seeing that happen really all across the East Coast, and a lot of people are coming in town here right now as well. Some amazing success stories that we have. Our team's been absolutely crushing it. Two really cool stories we'll talk about today. A lot of great just statistics. One thing too, just kind of reiterate, we have an amazing real estate scholarship out there. We have a real estate school looking to add 2 or 3 people on our team that really help serve at the highest level. If you're interested in that, you reach out to us. You can just go to blakesloan.com and just submit your information there. But just lots of great stuff we'll talk about. And with the same goal we have every single week on this show for the past 14 plus years. And that's just to bring value, right? I have a main goal is to keep you updated in what's happening, everything real estate here on the Grand Strand, also nationally, just help you make better decisions. With most people, one of their largest assets, which is real estate. And that's the main goal. If you ever want to come back and listen to any of this, you can always go on YouTube, just type in Blake Sloan Radio Show. We stream it live on there, stream it on my Facebook. You can follow me on Facebook. If you want to, some of the cool pictures from New York City and Barbara Corcoran are on there. You can follow Sloan Realty Group. And we also have a podcast version of this. You can just type Myrtle Beach Real Estate Radio Show and Blake Sloan in your favorite podcast, Spotify, Apple, whatever it is. And lots of great stuff for you in today's show.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to. If you're just tuning in for the very first time and you're not sure who you're listening to or what you're listening to, it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show, hosted by, of course, Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and other national publications. You may have seen him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends, the morning show. You heard the personal endorsements here backed by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Corcoran, Gary Labatz. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing. But the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Yes, and this is the whole DNA behind why we do this show. The whole reason why I do this show, my entire why behind why we do this show, because there's just so many horror stories over and over and over and over. We had somebody call our office this morning that Joe in my office spoke with. He came to my office right before I came over to the station. And a lady's very, very sweet, amazing house, huge house, like almost an estate in Conway. And they reached out. Their house has been listed since November 2022. And so we're in May in 2024. They've dropped their price over $200,000. And they're just saying, hey, well, maybe it's the market. Well, hey, that was just one of the hottest markets of all time when your property didn't sell. And they didn't really understand that they felt bad for the agent. The agent's very sweet. Look up the agent. Guess what? The agent has no sales. The agent has no resources. How do we know that? Because they don't have any sales. And that's just something that you run into where they make this mistake over and over and over of thinking that everyone's the same. And it's just something that's so true lately. And it's just the one thing I just hope anyone gets to listen to this show is like, look, it's just like any doctor, any lawyer, whatever it is, all agents are not created the same. They're not all equal, but everyone tends to view real estate agents as just a commodity, right? Hey, this person can just take some pictures, put it online, and buyers come to it. That's not how it works. Like, for example, in that $1 million property I was just talking about that dropped the price $200,000 and had it on the market that long, the photos are terrible. The photo orders, like the first 8 photos are all the outside of the house, different parts of it. Like, they just don't understand marketing, and that's the whole problem you run into. And it's just like, I was telling somebody this recently. Like, if I have a court issue, if I'm sued by somebody, or if I have a crime, charged of a crime I did not commit, I'm not going to try to find the cheapest attorney, right? If I can find the cheapest attorney, what happens to me in court? I show up in court and I get destroyed, right? So if I want to get something and I have something, God forbid, that's a major illness, do I just search around and call the cheapest doctor and to ask him how much do you charge? No, I want to find a specialist who specializes in that type of law or that type of medicine that can really help me. And the reason that matters is because it's people, right? You're not dealing with anything that's actual physical product. It's actually people as the product. And so it's a service-based business. It's the same exact scenario with real estate. We get people call our office all the time. What's your commission? What's your charge? And we have we have all kinds of different packages based on what you want. Some are 0% if we buy it out. We have all kinds of different things based on what people want, but they ask the wrong question, which gets them the wrong outcome. And the problem is they're dealing with their largest asset. And so the whole reason I do the show is like, look, it's just like any doctor, any lawyer, any person. You go to a restaurant. You ever go to a restaurant? You have a fantastic experience. You go to the same exact restaurant, different waiter, different waitress, terrible experience. The difference there is the person and their commitment to excellence and how they execute on details. And that same thing matters more than anything when the stakes are higher, when you're talking about your largest asset, either your house you live in, your investment properties, your commercial properties. Here's the deal. The single most important variable that determines your success or failure as a home seller in today's marketplace comes down to one thing only. And the thing is, that's the agent you choose, period. Not your wall color, not the grass quality, right? Not the commission you pay. It comes down to the agent that you choose and how well they actually execute when they're selling a property. What most people don't realize is there's a lot more than just taking some photos and putting it on the MLS, right? To go on Zillow or whatever site. Like, that's just 2 out of the 118 different variables that have to be managed correctly. And so that's one thing we talk about all the time, that people just make this massive, even listeners to the show, we have them call us after they've listened for years. They went with some idiot agent who charged a low commission or whatever it was, whatever their reason or justification was. The property didn't sell, and they come back to us 6, 12, 18 months later, and we come and sell it within 24 hours for a much higher price. And the other part of that is those are the lucky ones. The ones that are unlucky, the ones that actually sold the property with that person, and they didn't realize they have $30,000, $40,000 on the table. And I see that happen every single week as well. And so, like I mentioned, what most people don't realize when you're selling a property, there's a heck of a lot more than just taking photos, put on the MLS, right? There's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one of those handled correctly, it puts money in your pocket, your property gets sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point, and that can be anything from the marketing strategy, right? The quality of photos, the order of the photos. Is there a virtual walkthrough, virtuality walkthrough? Is there drone photos? All these things matter. Is there video to the property? More importantly, is there a for sale sign? Does the agent actually answer the telephone when somebody calls? And most, if you notice, if you call most agents or there's for sale signs, no one answers the phone at all. And so that's opportunities missed on your property. Or if they submit online to the website with an inquiry about that property, aka a buyer, how long does it take them to respond? In some cases, they don't respond at all. And most of the time, they respond within a few days, right? And so meanwhile, that buyer has moved on to a different property. And so all these details matter. And they're really the biggest 2 that make or break the home sale comes down to leverage and negotiation, right? And so most agents, they'll throw the client under the bus in 2 seconds. I witness this every single week because their average agent or marketplace sells 4 homes per year. Now imagine this. You just go with a friend or friend agent, or you call around offices to find out the cheapest agent, which people do for some reason. And you get the cheapest agent, right? They went ahead and gave everything away. They didn't even have the backbone to stand up to put food on the table for their children. What makes you think they're going to actually stand up for you and fight for your hard-earned home equity? Not at all, right? They're going to give that away and tell you to take the offer that's $30,000 below asking price because they're just trying to feed their kids next week, or they're trying to pay rent next week. And so you got to understand there's so much at stake, and you want to make sure that you find someone who's an expert, who's very, very good at what they do, and you want to get a good outcome. I was teaching my team this yesterday. It doesn't matter what product that you do, that you buy, that you have. It could be a physical product. I say, look, let's say you call around every single car dealership. And I call the used car dealerships. I call the ones that are new. They have used cars. I want to get a Mercedes. And I call around and say, look, I want the cheapest Mercedes you got, which one you got. And I call 7 different places, and they all tell me the cheapest price they have, and I get the cheapest one. So I find the cheapest Mercedes after all those dealerships. I drive to that one, and I pick up that cheap Mercedes. It's the cheapest of all 7 dealerships, and they have it out there. What do you think is going to happen when I drive off that lot? The experience is not going to be very good at all. Most likely it's going to be a lemon or a flooded car or something that has major issues with it, because in anything you get what you pay for in that scenario. And it doesn't mean you have to overpay. It means there's a great value. You can find a good value in the middle that gets you the results or the best deal that you want. I'm all about a great deal. And we feel we give our clients great deals, but people just really gamble with their largest asset. And they don't realize till they get finished with that and they feel like they've been taken advantage of, or they feel like they left $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on the table. That's what happens. And what they end up doing is making the wrong decision on the agent on the front end. And it doesn't sell. So what they end up doing is adjusting price over and over until they really go below where they could have sold it for if it would have been marketed properly. And so I just wanted to teach that, because this is something I see over and over and over. It's been a big topic lately for some reason. People have been calling around. So like I mentioned, what I did when I got in the business, I joined my whole family to real estate, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma. What I noticed was, and as I would grow up in the real estate office as a kid, I'd go every day after school and I just watched and learned, and I was very fascinated with it. But I noticed that everyone did the same thing, right? Everyone basically got a listing. They promised the world to the person to get the listing, saying anything and everything. Usually they're number one, whatever it is. And second thing they do is they put it to MLS. And 3, they just pray that someone else brings a buyer. And there's no real follow-up after that. The next thing they do is they try to find the next listing, because they spend most of their time hunting down the next listing instead of servicing what they got. And that's just because that's how you have to survive in the business. Not anything against the person. It's just how the industry has been designed. And so what I realized, like, there's got to be a better way. And so we flipped the business model upside down. I created this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for up to 200% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. We back that up with 2 main things. We back it up with a team of people. We have a team of specialists where each person specializes in what they do in that process. So we have basically inside sales, outside sales. We have buyer's agents, listing specialists. We have a full-time videographer, photographer, graphic design, closing coordinator, all that stuff that's built in. So every person can execute at the highest level in every single detail, not like you have one single person juggling the balls. And so how it works with most realtors, you have one agent trying to do everything, work with buyers, work with sellers, work with their web leads, do their marketing, do their administration, do their contract to close, do their home inspection negotiations. So what you end up having is the same person that works at McDonald's that does the front register, the drive-through, and the French fries at the same exact time, trying to serve everyone, and the service is very, very bad. And so when you have a team of specialists, everyone's very, very good at what they do. You're the person who's cooking the fries, the absolute best at the fries. Person at the front register, absolute best at the register. Person at the window, absolute best at the window. And that's the same thing we've done in terms of real estate. And that's how we get much better at the details. And we stack those up to create a massive competitive advantage for our client. And the second thing we do to really back that up is technology. We spend massive amounts of money in technology to make sure that we create leverage for our client every single point. And how we do that is we stack the dominoes. We create a small point of leverage at point number 2, small point of leverage at point number 2, and you stack that up over 118 different variables. It creates a massive gap between us and everyone else, and that's how we sell properties faster and for more money. If you want to know how that works, reach out to us. Love to show it to you. It absolutely blows anyone's mind that we sit down with. Even though realtors, the best thing we ever get is realtors from other areas that have a property down here. We sit down with them and show them. It absolutely blows their mind, because it's something that's very, very special. And what I did was I looked at what people did outside of the real estate industry and brought that into the real estate industry and operate like a true business where there was leverage and points, and there's actually alignment within the organization so that everyone's in alignment with how they operate. It's the same exact thing on the buyer side. It's a very, very difficult buyer's market right now. And so what's happening is you want to make sure every single variable is handled. I designed this thing here called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Get you priority access to foreclosures, distressed sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation, purchase price, as well as negotiation, the home inspection, to get you that closing table successfully. And all of those are done by certified real estate experts who are on our team. And so if you want that advantage, you want to make sure you understand, hey, look, here's why I really want to understand why should I have an expert. And here's one thing. If you just want to know what questions should I be asking, because I find that most consumers ask the wrong questions, reach out, call us, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime. We'll take a quick break right back here in a second.
Impact your family's future. Hey, your friend Sean Hannity here, and the same is true for your real estate transaction.
sell your home, you need to speak to one of the agents right here in town that will get you the most money with the least hassle. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, knowing the facts when you vote and when you sell your home is always important. That's why you should check out the value of your home in today's market. When you know the accurate value, you are better equipped to make an informed decision with all the options laid out for you. You know, options like an instant offer, or lay out your timeline and take advantage of their guaranteed sale program, or just put it on the market and get more money than you expected. Just go to the website, find out your home's value in seconds. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And get your home's real value in today's market in just seconds, and then you can start packing.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options for home sales, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers at time crunch, you can agree to sell it on a certain date, pay cash for a home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bid for it time,
Use our approved marketing plan and sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new market update. All kind of crazy stuff going on right now in the marketplace. A lot of that's also seasonal. We're just seeing a lot of great things happening for new pending deals, even in the face of really some headwinds in terms of interest rates. We'll talk about that in a second. But one thing I want to get to is we'll talk about last month's numbers. They came in. They did amazing sales of 18% from the same month last year, which is huge. It's been a long time since we've seen that. 3 straight months of increase in sales, which is awesome. Coming off a very, very slow December and January. But one thing we'll talk about is 2 types of numbers. We have the rear view mirror numbers. That's what I was just referring to. Those are properties that close last month, right? So we're obviously in May. Those numbers close in April. And so if they close in April, they went under contract usually 30 to 60 days prior to that, right? So you have to go through the entire underwriting process. People got to get a loan. They do inspections, all that stuff. And so you want to make sure you have a pulse on real time what's happening in terms of new properties going under contract. And then you also want to make decisions based on what's actually closed, because those got to the closing table successfully. And that's the data most people use, like appraisers and things like that. So really quick, the front windshield numbers, we call it. Hey, what's happening real time in the market? How do I have a pulse on that? We keep a pulse on that daily in my office because it helps us advise sellers. We can be a lot more aggressive sometimes based on what's happening in real time, because most agents using data that's 60 days old. I don't want to use data that's 60 days old because that's going to cost my client money, right? And so right now, real time, the last 7 days, there's 606 properties went under contract for $235,760,000, which is awesome, especially like I mentioned, based on rates going up about 7.5% on the last week or so. A lot of big time properties moving. 14 properties over $1 million, which is awesome. A couple of those over $2 million, a couple over $4 million, I'd say right now. $4.2 million in Pawleys Island, $3.8 million in Pawleys Island, $2.6 million in Georgetown, $2.45 million in Myrtle Beach. Just a lot of big stuff going under contract here, with a lot of big money coming in, which is great news for us overall. There's 115 properties under contract over $500,000, which is amazing. And one thing that we've really noticed is inventory has been climbing steadily. And again, that's seasonal. The spring market, so to speak, the spring and summer market are very, very hot here. And that happens across the country. The spring market really has the most inventory. And so right now it's 1,137 homes for sale. There are single family resale homes in Horry County. And it went over 1,000 homes just really a few months back. In January, there's only 949 homes on the market. Right now we're up to 1137. And the good news is still a lot of stuff selling. If you go back to our show 2 weeks ago, there's only 561 properties under contract. This week, 606. Back then, 214 million. This week, 235 million. So you can see that's very, very good. It's also very, very, very seasonal, which means if I'm a seller thinking about selling, I want to time it, right? I call it tee it up. I want to tee it up at the right time when everyone's looking to buy. We've had a few people call and like, well, we want to sell, but we're thinking about like one couple was getting married. One couple, an older gentleman was wanting to finish up some school stuff. Like, look, you can put it in the market in the fall, but you're going to have a lot less buyers because a lot of the buyers who've been waiting on the sidelines, especially in a very interest rate driven marketplace right now, they're jumping in right now in spring and summer market. So just keep that in mind. We'll talk about that. But the big news here I want to talk about is what happened in terms of closed deals last month. one of the most very few times in the recent months I've been able to say, hey, it's been a huge month in closed sales, which I'm very, very thankful for. Last month, we saw an 18.1% increase in terms of deals closed, which is amazing. So, for example, in April of this year, there was 510 properties that closed, which is awesome. If you go back to April of last year, only 432 properties. So great news. Again, that comes off the heels of a low interest rate environment in January, February, early March. It started creeping up, a little bit later than that. It did creep up really the last 60 days. And so that we probably will pay a little bit of price for. The good news is it's very seasonal. So a lot of buyers are still buying right now. I was very shocked at how resilient the pending deals have been, with 606 under contract in the face of rates that got to 7.5 this past week. So great news there. Overall prices still doing very well, median price wise overall at 377,000. It's up 8.9% from last year. We did have our first decline in a very long time in average sale price. And this is what we talked about a while back. This is that lagging indicator of when sales were down in November, December, January, and it's kind of bounced back a little bit. So we'll probably see that bounce back up in terms of price. But price for the first times in a very, very, very long time, the average sale price declined 6.3%. And so very, very interesting to watch. Again, we're going to see that bounce around because we're really in an interest rate driven economy. But just know that price is always the lagging indicator. We always know it's supply and demand. So basically sales, cooked with inventory, and then always the lag indicator is always price, which usually comes a few months, 2 or 3 months behind what everything else is doing. And so that's something we'll keep watching, but very, very interesting to see 18% increase in sales, a 6.3% decrease in price. That's because price is always a lagging indicator. You're going to see price bounce back up when you have an 18% increase in sales overall. Inventory has been very, very flat, which is good. So right now, 3.6 months of inventory for resale homes, which is still a super seller's market. Anything less than 6 months, a seller's market. In the condo world, we just hit that threshold of switching between sellers to buyers. We'll talk about that in a second. So the one thing we're really noticing, though, is there's still a lot less buyers out there that you're able to get. So on average, the average listing on the market last month in the entire MLS from every real estate company got 4.7 showings per listing, which is pretty decent compared to historical data on here. The only problem is the average amount of showings it took to get a contract was 14.1. And so a big gap there, right? 4.7 showings for the average listing, but based on data, it takes 14.1 showings to get a contract. And so that's the data we use to make good decisions for our marketing, good decisions for and that's why the agent you choose is so important. They have to be able to drive traffic and have to be able to get eyeballs on it. And that goes back to that example earlier I was telling you about the person who called in. They've been in the market since November 2022, dropped the price over 200,000 and have very, very little showings, right? Because there's no exposure in the marketplace based on the marketing dollars and what's happening. And so that's why the agent you choose matters so much overall. Some other interesting data we'll talk about is condos. Condos taking a big kind of here lately. Their actually closed sales are down 18.7%. So single family homes up 18%, condos down 18.7%. We were talking about this in my office this past week with some of our top agents. And again, condos have struggled a little bit because of insurance assessments, HOA assessments, HOA increases, right? And so you're seeing a lot of properties go for sale in the same building. And then what happens is they're viewed a little bit more as a commodity and they just drop based on price. And so that's something we'll keep watching, where it also, condos was a very hot item for people for the past couple of years because they were priced lower than single family houses. But as HOA costs have gone through the roof, as insurance has gone through the roof, it's not quite as appealing to a lot of buyers out there as it was previously. And so one of the main numbers we'll talk about is months of supply. Right now we hit 6.0 months of supply. I can't tell you the last time I've seen 6 months of supply for condos overall. Let's see if I can go back to a 10-year thing and see when I can find it. So the last time we had 6 months of inventory for condos, I'll go all the way back right now. The last time we had that many condos on the market from an inventory standpoint was June 2017. So a long time ago, for 7 years ago overall, since the last time we had this type of market. And that's significant, right? And there's different players in terms of interest rates, high HOAs, things like that. So you want to make sure on the sales side for condos that you are having somebody who can differentiate the property, who can make it look good, who can separate it from the other 15 in the building that you have overall. But if you look at prices, though, price is still doing pretty well, which is good news for now. Median price up 8.1% year over year at $259,400 $450, which is great. That's actually a new record here on the Grand Strand. So again, remember, price is a lag indicator. You're probably going to see price soften a little bit because you saw an 18% decrease in sales. Average sale price also up, which is great, up 5.7% at $285,615. And the same thing you're seeing there from a showing standpoint. The average condo right now only getting 2.7 showings per listing, and the average amount of showings it takes to get a contract is 9.7. So they need 3 times the amount of showings they're getting to even have a chance to get a contract. And that's why the agent you choose matters. The marketing they use matters. All those things matter overall. And the one thing that's been driving this market lately has been overall the mortgage rates. Mortgage rates right now, they were 7.5 this past week. Last week's show, which 2 weeks ago, rates are 6.99%. Right now, 7.37% right now for a 30-year fix, which is awesome. A 15-year fix, 6.82%, which is awesome. A 30-year jumbo loan, 7.55%. A 30-year FHA loan, 6.82%. And a 30-year VA loan, 6.84%. And so the VA right now looking really, really good in the sixes. Thankfully, there was some economic data that came out that helped rates late this past week, which is great news overall. I think we got 3 more minutes. I'm going to skip that last break and just kind of go right to our hot buyers alert. One thing that we talk about every week, and if you want more interest rates, reach out to us. We found the most aggressive lenders who basically lend the most money for the best rates. I always constantly search to make sure we can provide value for our clients with that. And I'm very aggressive in how I do that, how we interview them as well. So one thing, my team and I are working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers here in the Grand Strand, Myrtle Beach area, looking for properties from $250,000 to $4.4 million right now. If you're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately. 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One thing we do, right, we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. Because of that team model we have, our average marketing budget's about $75,000 a month overall, and we generate traffic from all across the globe. And so right now, active home buyers who are looking to buy properties here with a username, password, account, 76,085 active home buyers, 76,085 active home buyers. I got Chuck from Villa Park, Illinois. I got Dave from Colchester, Vermont. I got Sean from Concord, New Hampshire. I got David from Vandergrift, PA, Ottawa, Ontario, Des Moines, Iowa, Longhorn, PA, Owings, Maryland. So if you notice a pattern there, the Northeast, we target them on purpose because that's where a lot of money comes from. Really quick, couple awesome success stories. Big shout out to some awesome people. Don here owned a property in Myrtle Beach. Recently decided to go back home to New Jersey to be close to his grandchildren. His children were starting to have children, which was his grandchildren. He didn't want to miss seeing his grandchildren growing up. Don wanted to make sure his home was sold quickly so he can be back in New Jersey for the birth of his grandson. Thankfully, Dan heard about us from our guaranteed sold system for our billboards, decided to give us a call. We came in, designed a custom plan, listed it much higher than Don thought possible, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual walkthrough, drove massive traffic. In a couple of days, Don received a fantastic offer right near full asking price. We were able to negotiate a closing date that would get him back to New Jersey before the birth of the grandchild, and got that done overall. Last one here, Michelle owned a house, a second home, Myrtle Beach, for the past 7 years. Recently decided to sell the property to purchase another vacation home with a 1031 tax exchange. She lived in Maryland. It's important to have someone who's very, very good at this. Her mom watches Shark Tank and saw that Barbara Corcoran endorsed us. She had her call us, which is awesome. Met with us. We had hundreds of buyers looking for condos just like her. Launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough. Do a massive track. Within 2 days, we received a full price offer on her property. Now she can move that money to her next investment. Reach out to us, 843-808-SOLD. See you back here next week again.